What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the Tangent Podcast. This is your host, Austin.
And I'm Dan.
How you doing, Dan?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you doing?
I'm good. It's good to be with you. It's good to be with you all of our listeners as well.
Yeah, it's
Hope
good
you're
to be
doing well.
back.
It is good to be back.
Yeah, it was a fun time. Thanks for bringing me on.
Oh, of course. Yeah, we're glad to have you. I'm glad to have you. It was a blast, and listening back to it, I was like laughing so hard at work with us trying to pronounce French.
Oh my gosh.
Here's the thing. I was thinking more about my disdain for the French language.
Let's
Any
hear it.
language that, like, makes you sound like you're throwing up when you speak it is not a good language.
Ugh.
It doesn't wanna be spoken. Also, half the letters in the language are silent. They don't even wanna be part of the language. They don't wanna be said. Like, that's how you know it's a trash language.
Oh man. You're gonna offend all of our French viewers out there.
I don't think we have any French. We do have some in Canada. Maybe they speak French, but I don't know. Maybe if I learned French, I'd feel differently about it, but I don't know. It's a cool language, but it's hard to pronounce crap.
People are always dishing on Portuguese too. I went to Brazil and I speak Portuguese, and the thing that I heard all the time was it's like speaking Spanish with bubbles in your mouth. And I'm like, okay, thanks guys.
I mean, I can see that for sure, but I also think it's a cool language. So, yeah, I see where they're coming from with the marbles because it does sound like, to me, like to a Spanish speaker, it sounds like garbled Spanish, but I know it's not.
Yeah.
Do you still speak it like pretty fluently?
You know, fluently is a loose term because when
Mm.
I think about it, like obviously most of our conversations were centered around, you know, church related language.
Yeah.
So if I think about like if I had to have a conversation about like normal everyday things, I'd be looking up stuff left and right. I'm like, what's the word for keyboard? I don't freaking know. Like I'll keep in touch with some people for my mission, and if I have to try to explain to them what I do for work, yeah, good luck. I'm looking up so much.
You like chat GPT in it, translating it.
Yeah, like the only thing I know how to say is like talk about Jesus and church and stuff. So
They just get a message from you like once a month. You still hanging out with Jesus? You still doing good with Jesus?
that's
That's
all I
it.
remember how to say.
Yep. Oh, cool. Should we get into the beverage for tonight? Because I'm excited.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
excited.
the
Coming off the
last one was
high.
good.
Oh,
Yeah,
it
last
was
one was
so
really
good.
good.
I'm excited for this one. It is Monster Energy Electric Blue, which
Oh, do
as
you
we
want to go ahead? Sorry, go ahead.
oh, I was gonna say, as we all know, blue is the best flavor of everything.
This is
What were you
true.
gonna say?
Oh, I was gonna say, do you want to tell people the next flavor so they can join in on this flavor journey, this drink journey for next week?
Yes. So the next one will be it's a new Monster flavor as well, and it is called Orange Creamsicle, which sounds amazing. Sounds so good. And it's in the new cans are they're black cans, but they have like a smaller Monster logo on them. This one's blue, the other one's orange. And it says wickedly creamy on the top of it. So and this one says shockingly smooth.
I won't repeat the joke that you told me about the wickedly creamy part.
Thank you.
That's all that's all I'm laughing about. We'll just let people
Thank you.
guess. They'll never guess it. All right, let's
Uh,
crack this open. Sorry.
all right. I'm excited.
Cheers.
Oh, it smells good. I
Oh,
always have to smell it first.
dude, I just smelt it too. We didn't plan that. Huh.
It's good. It's not what I expected.
Yeah, I feel like I need another sip. Hold on.
The second sip was better. Um, what's up with these newer flavors not being as carbonated?
Yeah, you're right. That was good though.
It
The
is good.
shockingly smooth does come to mind actually. But sometimes I like to be spicy, you know? So I think of like a
um,
Sprite as like extra spicy, like a Sprite.
yeah, it tastes like you're drinking TV static. Yep. Um,
Wait,
this
what?
it's so carbonated it tastes like you're drinking TV static.
Oh, I never heard that.
Um, this is good. It gets better with every sip to me.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of what kind of rating I'd give it.
7.5 for me. It's really good, but it could be better. I wanted a little bit more out of it.
You know, I'll give it an 8. One thing that I always have a problem with, like unique flavors of sodas, is that like the flavor is like way too strong, and then I can never like finish a can of it or whatever because
Mm,
like, oh man, like I can only have a few sips and I'm done. But this one, it's like a different enough flavor, but also mild enough that I could actually, finish it.
yeah. Oh, I'm gonna finish it. It's really good. You know what? It's getting better with every sip. I'm bumping up to an 8 as well because it's getting better.
Yeah. It's not the bad apple. Bad apple's good.
That was so
I,
good.
I I wish the bad apple again had more carbonation, but this one's still pretty good.
Still solid. All right. Well, yeah, go check it out. Monster Energy Electric Blue. Moving on to the next little segment. I was quite excited about this when I woke up because I have this recurring dream.
Oh,
I've had it probably like 15 times in my life, I'd estimate,
oh
and
dang.
I've had it over like a 15-year span. So since I was like a teenager, been having this dream. And I'd say I haven't had it for probably somewhere between 2 to 4 years. I don't remember exactly when the last time was, but I had it
So
again
it's been a
last night.
minute.
But I had it last night, and
Oh,
I woke up and I was excited because it's always the same every single time, exactly the same. So the dream is, that ride at like you go to the county fair and there's that ride at, usually it's called the Gravitron, and it's like this circle car, like giant thing. You go get in it, and on the wall, you sit against the wall, and it spins so fast that it like pulls you up against the wall. You know what I'm talking about?
vaguely.
It's basically the whole ride is you stand there and it spins so fast that you're stuck to the wall. And sometimes they have little panels on the wall that move up and down, like while you're stuck to it, so you kind of go up and down throughout the ride. But you're
Okay.
enclosed in this big giant car with like 30 other people. And no seatbelts, no nothing. Just pure centrifugal force. And so I have this dream that I get on this ride, and before the ride starts, this man and woman that are like all dressed up in business suits and stuff walk in, and they set this little table right in the middle of the ride, and then they put a bowl of vanilla pudding on the table, and they say, in this bowl is the best pudding in the entire world. We're going to turn the ride on, and whoever can get to the bowl first will win a lifetime supply of this vanilla pudding. And so then they put it in there, and it's right dead in the center, so the pudding doesn't move at all. But everyone trying to get to the pudding is like a bloodbath in there because people like it's if you've ever been on that ride, even just like lifting your head off the wall takes so much force and energy. Like it's really hard to do. And so people are just like trying with all their might to get to this bowl of pudding, and they're just like getting flung against the wall, and like teeth are getting knocked out and bones
Oh
are
my
breaking. And
gosh.
it's just like I'm like sitting there just looking around at this giant bloodbath, and no one ever wins. So that's my recurring dream, and I had it again last night.
That is crazy. How did I never hear this growing up?
I
Or
don't
just
know.
like you just want to search for the meaning of it?
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know what it means. I think I gave up trying to figure that one out a while ago, but
Dude,
that's my recurring dream.
that's crazy. If I had a recurring dream, I don't know if you get this, but I hate this one. It's one of two things, and maybe you'll guess it. One is that
Mission.
yes.
Yep. It sucks. It's the worst.
Is that I'm back on my mission, and there's like different variations of it. It's like I'm married, like
Mhm.
in my mission, and like I have to go back. It's like, what? Like, what do you mean I have to go back? Like, yeah, you have to serve again. I'm like, please, no. I'm like, how
Yeah.
long has it been? When can I go back home? So I'll have that one. Or the other one is that I'm in school, like in college or something, and that I had a class the whole semester that I forgot to go to the entire time. And yeah, that one sucks too.
Haven't had that one, but I have the mission one frequently, and it's usually like my current life state,
Yeah.
or it's like you have to go for 5 years. No!
Oh,
Like, oh, so bad.
like,
And
oh,
it's
it's
never
terrible.
as bad as it is to say, it's never a positive dream.
It's never like, oh my gosh, I'm so happy to go back to Brazil where there's poo flowing in the streets. Yeah, I just can't wait
And
for
chicken sitting
that.
on popcorn sacrifice
Yeah.
stuff.
Oh, yeah. I don't need that. No, thank you. Some people ask me, they're like, "Do you have you ever been back to your mission? Are you gonna go?" I'm like,
No.
no, no. I'm like, do you realize it costs the same amount of money to go to my mission in Brazil as it does to go to Europe? Do you realize like how dangerous it is there? Like, yeah, like when you're a missionary, you're protected by God, but you're also very stupid and young. You're like, yeah, no one can hurt me. And I'm like, yeah, if I went back there, there's definitely a lot to lose. So
Yep.
no, thank you.
Yeah, that's the
I
same.
love the people though. Let me clarify. I love the people, and there's so many great people that did so many wonderful things for me. But it's it's really hard to want to go back to that.
Same. There are some places I could go, like the city, or some like dedicated tourist places I could go, but again, it's expensive. It's like over $1,000 for a flight to go there, and at that point, I might
Yeah,
as well go fly to Europe.
yeah. Or
So
go to Hawaii,
yeah,
something,
go to Hawaii or
and not worry
I
about
mean,
getting robbed and kidnapped and held around, like
yeah.
whatever.
The benefit down there is everything is so much cheaper though. Like even tourist sites and stuff get transportation's really cheap, so like food is cheap. So going there, I feel like I wouldn't spend as much money while I'm there, but getting there, it's the same as going pretty much anywhere else touristy.
Nice. Well, thanks for the dream update. That's maybe we should do the recurring dream segment. I rarely remember my dreams. So,
Yeah, let's start that. If you have a crazy dream or a recurring dream, we should tell it on the pod. That was
okay.
in lieu of space news today because I couldn't find anything cool happening in space right now.
I actually saw a quick little space news. I'll just share like the headline, but did you see the thing about that we have like technically two moons now or something? Did you see that?
No.
Yeah, I saw that there's like some asteroid that's kind of chilling in our orbit or something. It's not a true moon because it doesn't orbit us, but it's like orbiting the sun at the same rate that we orbit the sun. So it's kind of
Hmm.
hanging out with us for, I want to say another 30 something years, maybe.
How big is
Uh,
it?
Oh, it was pretty, I think it was pretty small. I like, was it like, oh my gosh, I'll have to look it up later. But I thought it was like 6 feet in diameter.
Mm,
Was it feet? I don't know. It was small
that's
though.
tiny.
Yeah.
That's me floating around in space.
You're 6 foot?
I'm I'm 5'11 and a half, okay? I'm 6 feet. Just give me this one, okay? Just give me this one, please.
If
I'm
anything,
6
I should
feet.
be pulling out the halves thing here. I'm like freaking 5'7", or yeah, that's even less on a good day with my hair, up.
Yeah, and the soles of your shoes stuffed in there, multiple shoe soles stuffed in the bottom of your shoes
Yeah,
too, yep.
exactly. It's hard being short. All
I
right.
wouldn't know, I'm 6 feet.
That's why you always dominated me at basketball. I just could never
Ah.
overcome the height. That and that stupid shot you had behind the head.
Ah.
I'll just never understand how you could do that.
Mm, it's trade secrets I'll never tell.
Okay. I Are we ready to move on to my rant?
Yes, I'm so ready.
Okay. It's only kind of a rant. So I'm gonna set the stage here. So I'm at work. I work in an office building with about On any given day, there's probably 200 to 300 people there. We have some nice bathrooms though, and this is where it's going. Is the bathroom? So I'm in the bathroom. I'm doing my business, and I don't know if this is a relatable experience, but there's many times where I'm sitting down doing what people do in the bathroom, and someone will come in, do their business, but then they just walk straight out without washing their hands. And it is just so like disgusting. And then sometimes it's even like a number two. The guy next to me is like freaking grunting, having a hard time. And then he just has the audacity to go and just leave. And I'm just like, are you kidding me? Is this something that you've seen? I don't know, like at your work, if that's a thing or not.
1000% I've seen it. Not at my work because our work is all single stall, like it's just a single bathroom.
Yeah.
But if I'm ever in public, like in a gas station or a store or anywhere else, and I see somebody do that, I like want to call them out on it and be like, dude, you just touched your wiener. Go wash your hands. Like, then I see
Right?
them in the gas station picking up all the different candies and
Oh,
like
I can't.
I'm just like,
Oh,
"Ugh." Yep.
I,
No, I'm right there with you. Right
I
there with
can't.
you.
Okay, I'm not like it. I don't feel like I'm a germaphobe, but like there'll be even times where I go to the bathroom, I'm just peeing. I'm washing my hands. Another guy comes in after me. He pees and goes to wash his hands, and he finishes washing his hands before I do. I'm like, did you watch? Like, I'm not even kidding. I'll see guys that just like let water, like they like do like a cupping shape, like you're like trying to capture the water in their hands. They'll just turn the faucet on, they'll like collect the water and drop it, and then do it again, and then drop it, and then leave. I'm like, you call that
Soap, yeah.
washing your hands?
You
Oh,
gotta get the soap. Here's the proper order. You
please
wet.
instruct us.
Okay, you wet the hands. You have to wet them first. Then you get the soap, and while the water is off, you lather. And then you go back again. So wet, soap, rinse.
Thank you. It's I was just thinking about that the other day because I suspected it happened. It hasn't happened for a minute. But then here's the thing. Now I have to think about, okay, I didn't used to do this, but then I thought about all those nasty people with their poo poo pee pee hands touching the handles to leave.
Mhm.
So I'm like, okay, now I have to use a paper towel to then open the door and then leave. But then I'm like, well, what about the next door? What if they're going to the next door that I have to go through? I'm like, all my washing hands is just wasted.
You're going down a dangerous road, my friend, but
Okay, so
here's the thing. If we're gonna change society, these are the issues we need to tackle.
I know people probably like, man, this guy is a germaphobe. I'm really not. Like,
I'm
I
not
just,
either.
I like, I think about it. I'm like, well, time to move on with my day. But there's a part two to this, and the part two part is why aren't there? You know how in Louisiana episode we talked about the Rougarou and how it was a Rougarou, right? Where one of the possible origins of it was that it was like the Catholic Church kind of made it up
Yeah.
in an
Yep.
attempt to like
Scare
kind of
people.
scare people to obey Lent and stop fornicating or whatever.
Yep.
So like why aren't there like hygiene demons and monsters that exist to teach people to stop doing that? So I went on a little search and I've got a couple that I want to read off to you, but I feel like they don't do it nearly enough justice and that we need to make up our own toilet demon that punishes people for not washing their hands because it's
I love
disgusting.
it.
Okay. So first off, we've got I should probably let me post a picture too. Okay, what channel do I put it in the I'll
You
put it
can
in the
put it in the general channel.
general. Okay. Okay, so this first one, okay, you seen that?
What the heck? Oh my
Okay.
goodness.
Yeah. We need to make sure we post
Oh,
this so people can see. So this one, ironically, they're both from Japanese culture. So I don't know if Japanese people just have better hygiene. I don't know, but here's the legend. So this one is called the Akaname. Here we go, pronouncing things we have no business pronouncing. It's called the Lick Filth Demon.
mm,
So It literally means filth liquor in Japanese, and it is a small, grotesque, what is it, yokai, which is, I guess, the word for like spirit or monster. I'm sure those anime
Mm.
nerds out there know what yokai means, but I don't. No offense, anime nerds. But it's a small, grotesque yokai with a long, sticky tongue. So its purpose is to lick the grime and sludge from dirty toilets and bathhouses. It doesn't like attack people, but it serves as a warning that if you don't clean your bathroom, this demon will show up and lick up your filth, which kind of seems counterproductive. Like
You would think
it's
he'd
gonna
come make more
clean,
filth. Yeah.
yeah, but I think part of it is like it also carries like a disease. And
Oh,
so like you,
okay.
you don't want it around because if it's around then there's a disease.
I could see that.
So
Also,
yeah.
you have to watch him lick your bathroom filth, so that's punishment
Oh,
enough.
I mean, look at that tongue. Can you
Yeah,
imagine
that's
that thing just
intense,
like
dude.
getting up in there? Like, oh.
That would get all the nooks and crannies. Oh,
Not in a good way.
that's gross.
Okay. So the next one.
Wait, before you breeze past that,
Yeah.
that picture, is that supposed to be a Japanese bathroom? Because all I see is a big barrel and 2 buckets. That's not a bathroom.
this is this is straight from Wikipedia. It's the image that they have. So I don't know. Maybe that's which receptacle do you think they pooped in?
Maybe they just waffle stomp it right down the drain, I don't know.
Sorry. I only recently learned what that term is.
Oh, really?
Disgusting.
I learned that on my
Oh.
mission because our toilets sucked there, so
Oh
we
man, I
had to.
almost took a sip of my. That would have been so bad. I was about to bust up. Oh man, that
Proceed.
reminds me. That reminds me of a story from Jesse about his mission in poop. But I don't think I want to tell it because it's kind of
We'll
gross.
we'll save that for the Patreon.
Oh yeah, there you go. Patreon. Okay, so the next uh legend or myth is called the Aka Manto, also Japanese. Let me throw the picture in the chat as well. So this one is more, it's the red cloak spirit. So it's a popular modern Japanese urban legend of a masked spirit that haunts public or school bathrooms, often specifically the last stall. So the legend's not necessarily about like hand washing, but it punishes poor bathroom judgment. I don't know what that means, but the spirit supposedly asks you if you want like red toilet paper or blue toilet paper. And no matter which one you choose, the outcome is not good. So if you choose red, it means you're flayed until your blood makes your cloak red.
Hmm.
And if you choose blue, it means you're strangled until your face turns blue.
Is
So
this like a Matrix bathroom situation?
no, I didn't think of that. Which one does the rabbit hole see how far it goes? Is that blue or red?
Isn't that red pill?
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
I feel like I should know this. I actually like that
the
movie.
the blue pill is because that's what like the term red pilled comes from. Like when you're red pilled, it means that you're like awakened to the truths of
Oh.
our society and culture today.
Oh, I don't know a ton about the red pill thing, but I've heard negative things about it.
I would take this ghost a lot more seriously if he wasn't holding rolls of toilet paper in that
I
picture.
know. I agree. He doesn't look as sinister.
Yeah, he looks just silly. He looks like he'd be our friend in high school. Come toilet
Yeah.
papering with us.
Oh, true. We did do that. Good times. Okay, last demon is the I don't have a picture because it's so ancient. It's called the Sulak. Sulak. It's a Babylonian demon. It was the toilet demon. So in ancient Babylonian belief, Sulak was a demon set to hide in the toilet. And it was believed that disease was the hand of Sulak. So if a person using the toilet was, and I quote, not modest and silent, the demon would feel offended and strike with illness or attack, making the bathroom a vulnerable place. So,
So you had to
yeah.
be quiet when you were using the bathroom? They didn't have any Beano or, like, anti-diarrheal back then, so and I'd imagine their water was riddled with crap.
Oh, such a child. But I'll say this: poop and farts and stuff are funny. They'll always be funny. Maybe this is coming just from a guy, but
Nope, they'll
I think
always
it's
be funny.
funny. Oh, thank you, thank you.
They will always be funny. Like, a good fart that makes a good noise, always funny.
Oh,
Have you ever
love it.
played Guess the Fart with your wife?
You know, I can't
Bef
say I have. What is
be
it?
Before you fart, you say, "Guess the fart," and she makes a noise and tries to guess what it's gonna sound like, and then you fart. See how close it is.
I feel like my wife would get tired of playing that game because it would happen quite a bit.
You have to be selective
Oh,
with when you do it.
you're like, you want to play a game? Stop! I got another one. Stop, please.
Have you ever this is this is a deep question. Have you ever covered wagoned your wife before?
Oh my gosh, not intentionally.
I never have. I feel like that's a little bit much.
I mean,
Plus
if I
I
had, I wouldn't be here. I'd be convicted of
y
murder.
yeah, I'm the sole breadwinner in this family. I can't be killing off people and having medical bills from all that, so I
All
can't do
right.
that.
So, yeah, that was my toilet segment for the day.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I still think we need a more sinister demon or something. So maybe we come up with one in an episode and get some
Let's do it.
drawings because this just madness just has to stop. I just can't think of just this. Okay, last bit on this toilet piece. You know what I do? I always like try and guess and speculate. Okay, who is the guy that's not washing his hands? I look around and I'm just like distrusting. And it's obviously profiling and probably stereotypical, but I'm always looking around. I'm like, yeah, that guy looks disgusting. It's probably him. I'm like, just remind me to open the door with my sleeve the next time I go behind him. Like,
You
oh
realize your sleeve
gosh.
is still touching your body, right?
Okay, but it's at least not in my hand, and then getting a drink and it's by my mouth, and
It's
I mean,
it is true.
uh, I don't need to think about that. I just don't want pink eye either. Like I don't need that.
No, I feel you.
Okay,
Okay, toilet
sorry,
demon.
sorry.
Um,
I'm done with toilets.
no, you're good. You're good. Um, shall we dive into the topic for the day?
Yeah, is it me first? It is
Yeah,
me first, right?
why don't you lead it off?
Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna be talking about some. I guess the category would be the missing 411. It's just like a term, and this is kind of what I've come to understand it as. It's a term for to explain missing persons, like missing persons that happened in remote areas or the wilderness, and often have interesting circumstances around the disappearance. Um, I think the term comes from this guy named David Paulides. I think
Yep.
that's his name. He wrote, I think he's written a few books about a bunch of cases that he's researched. I think he's a former police detective, and he's gone through a lot of missing persons cases and kind of come up with he believes is a pattern for these disappearances, and he kind of lumps them together. So the cases that we're going over today, I believe, all fall under that category, the missing 411. And as we go through this, you'll probably see like some similarities in like who not necessarily who disappeared, but like how they disappeared and or how they were found and whatnot. So Was that pretty good, or was there anything else I'm missing on the general topic?
No, I think that's pretty good. I think there are 4 books that he's written, and then he's done a few movies too, or
Oh, he's done
documentaries.
movies.
Yeah, he's done some documentaries, and his books and the documentaries kind of focus on like certain locations. So this all started with the woods, like specifically the deep woods, national parks, people that go missing in those locations with like no trace. So that's how it started, but then he's dove into also disappearances in urban areas and like profiling the people that go missing in urban areas. And then he's
Mm.
done, I think he has one in Canada. And
Oh,
then
I didn't know that.
one of the only movie that I've seen of the ones that he's done was called Missing 411 The Hunted, and it was all about hunters that have gone missing in the woods. That one was pretty creepy. Like
Oh,
it was interesting,
I
but
have to watch that.
I kind of want to go read the books though and see what they're like. Apparently they're expensive though, because
Oh,
I think they're not published anymore, and so they're really popular. So you find them on Amazon and people are selling them for like $500.
oh, wow.
And so
Okay.
it's hard to find them.
Dang, I had no idea. Yeah, thanks for the extra context. So I'm gonna dive into one. I've got a few here, but we'll just go this first one. So this first one, the disappearance. We're gonna go over the disappearance of Rowan Grifton. He's 2 years old.
Oh.
So yeah, yeah. These are real documented disappearances. Just a heads up. So I feel like we need to have some kind of respect, at least for what happened, because it's really sad. I have a kid now, and I just can't imagine. I just can't imagine that happening. But yeah, so Rowan Grifton, 2 years old. This is actually a more recent one, October 9th, 2010. So he disappeared at his grandma's house on Route 32 in Richmond, New Hampshire during a family gathering. He was last seen around 3 p.m. He was playing outside with the other kids and he was chasing a cat near his house. So, luckily, in this circumstance, he was found, but he was found around 2 a.m. the next morning. But he was approximately 3 miles from his grandma's house and he was deep in a waist deep swamp. So, I'll get into some of the other circumstances here. So, search teams included local police, state police, New Hampshire Fish and Game, K9 units, and they had been looking for over 11 hours. So, they had been looking a decent amount of time. So, a group of family friends who knew kind of the area that they're at, they found one of his sneakers near the house and they headed to a spot that they suspected that he might have gone to. And then when they were going over there, they heard the boy crying and yelling back for his mom. He was
Mm.
found clinging to a small tree in the middle of a muddy, waist deep swamp. He was scared, shaking. His lips were blue from the cold, but he was otherwise like unharmed. Um. So yeah, is that's I don't understand how, and this will be, I don't know about the ones that you've gone over, but for a couple of mine, that I don't know how a kid is found in such a weird spot. So the 3 mile journey that he took from where he was found, right, and where he went missing, is 3 miles. It's across a rough, swampy terrain in the dark, and people are saying it's like virtually impossible for him to do that on his own. Like, people are saying like toddlers don't have like physical stamina or the mental capacity to navigate like such a distance, especially through like deep water and mud. So
Mm.
it's very strange, right? Like, if you're lost, like, why would they trudge through like this swamp? Um, you would think, yeah, the location that he was found, like, you would think that he would just, avoid going into a swamp, but the search team hadn't like spotted him or heard him for like several hours, even though he wasn't like too far away from home. And then the last bit of this is it is claimed that when asked what happened, the boy told a consistent story about a man who lured him into the woods by peeking out from behind a tree.
Oh,
And then the child allegedly recalled animals watching him from the darkness, but being protected by some giant figure.
that's
So
creepy.
I, I'm sure it's pretty tough. I don't have a 2-year old, not yet, but I'm sure if you ask them, like, what was that thing that we watched growing up as a kid history?
Oh yeah.
If you've never seen it, it's funny, but basically asking children to tell a story about something, I'm sure it's, children have big imaginations and stuff, and it might seem real to them, but you're like, yeah, that there was no man or whatever. But yeah, so that's this one. That's the Rowan disappeared, found far away, 3 miles away in a swamp. Luckily found alive, but still really odd that he was found in a swamp clinging to a tree. So yeah.
So one weird thing. Sorry, did I cut you off? Were you?
No, no, you're good.
One weird thing with like most of these missing 411 cases is, um, well, so first of all, like a little bit of the stats about these. So total, the ones that David Paulides has like covered or talked about in his books and movies, there's over like 1,400 missing persons cases. And so, like out of those cases, like 30 to 40% of them are found dead, and then, or like they died, and then the rest of them, they don't. Some of them were found alive. So of the people that were found alive, like over half of them don't even know what happened. Like they don't have any memory of how they went missing or anything. But then the rest of them are found, like never found. So a large majority, like of that remaining, like 60 to 70% that aren't found dead, about 10% of that 70% is people found alive, and then the rest of it are people that are never found. So the vast majority of these people are never, like, these cases are completely unsolved. But the weird thing is most of the time they're around water or a swamp or something like that. And then they're also in an area where, well, in the area where they go missing, there's usually like changes in weather. So I don't know if it said anything about that in your story, but sudden changes in weather, like a storm will come in, or there will be like snow that shouldn't be happening at that time, or something to that effect. And so it's weird that there's like all these different consistencies around these disappearances. And I think that's one of the big reasons why David Paulides wanted to dig into these cases specifically, was because they had like a set number of things that were consistent between the majority of them.
Yeah, I don't think for this one there was a sudden weather change or something. I think there are for a couple of the other ones, but yeah, that was one thing that I had seen too, and something about like if the people were found, they didn't have their shoes on or something.
Yeah, that's a pretty common one. Like their clothes or shoes are missing, or even in
Yeah.
some cases, their clothes are like folded and found like neatly folded, or their shoes are found like set aside in a pair, like some weird stuff like that.
Yeah. I I don't know if we want to get into this for every single one, but I just kind of wonder like what would like a rational explanation look like? And then like what would an irrational explanation look like? So if if I go the rational route and I think about this kid was found in a swamp 3 miles away, I wonder if I mean it's possible, but like maybe he encountered maybe there was really a man, who lured him into the woods and he was taking him trying to abduct him, and halfway through he himself gets caught in the swamp and is like, dang, I can't hold this kid and get myself through the swamp. So he ditches the kid in the swamp. The kid's stuck there, and then they end up finding him. But then like the kid doesn't say much about it. But then again, I don't. You're 2 years old. I don't know if like a
Yeah.
like a testimony from him would hold up very well. I would hope so, but I don't have a 2-year-old, so I don't know like how if they're able to recall events like that very well. But and
In my
then go ahead.
I was gonna say in my experience with 2-year-olds, because I have one right now, and then I've had two others that have been two. My 2-year-old now doesn't quite talk yet, but my other ones did, and um, they don't really lie. Like they just tell you as it is. You know, they don't really know like what lying is at that point. And so I feel like if he's saying that there's a man or an animal, that's like what he's actually seeing and interpreting as that. So whether I'm sure if he is saying it was a man, like there probably was a man that was luring him, or an animal could be anything really. It could be a big, huge, hairy dude. It could be a dog. It could
Yeah.
be anything, you know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I think it's interesting to get into this for every case because they're all different enough that there's some different rabbit holes you could go down for each disappearance, but they all also have a lot of things that are similar. And that's really the big question, right? Is like what is it? What's causing all these people to go missing and without any kind of trace? Luckily this kid was found, but a lot of these people aren't. Or even if they
Yeah.
are found, like they're found in the weirdest locations, like in a swamp
Yeah.
or on top of a high mountain or
Yeah.
700 miles away, you know?
Yeah, exactly. And I don't like I haven't read any of the books from Paulides, but from what I've seen online, it kind of seems like he's alluding to like there's a possibility of other, I'll just call irrational or supernatural or whatever, a different explanation. And I I wonder if he's like alleging that maybe this potential supernatural explanation could tie in all of these. I don't, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what that would be if it's like, you know, like alien abduction or like what I don't know what, you know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know what supernatural explanation would fit the bill. I'm not the most, versed in all things supernatural, but if he's alluding that there is some kind of other thing, other occurrence happening, I don't know
Well,
what would
I
even make
think
sense. Does that make sense?
yeah, it does. And I think he has alluded to that before. And I think one of the first things that led him there was when he was looking at the cases, he kind of started with cases of missing people in national parks because he noticed a lot of people were going missing in these parks, which is weird because they're like populated, they're heavily trafficked, the trails are well known. Um, and so he started there, and a lot of the National Park Service, the first they claimed like we don't keep a registry of people that go missing in the parks, which one, that's really weird. You would think they would have a registry of people that are missing there so they can continue to look for them. And then two, like he was getting a lot of pushback to the point where they were trying to charge him like upwards of $1 million for these lists of people and like information on the people that were missing in these parks. And so he got a
Oh, I didn't
lot
know
of
that.
pushback from specifically from like high up in the national park service. They
Okay.
did not want to turn over information to him, and I think that's when he was really like, "There's something a little bit deeper going on here." And it's not, I don't think he necessarily thinks like these guys are behind it, but they might be hiding something that they don't want to get out to the public of some other
Oh,
kind of
interesting.
like
Oh, okay.
crazy thing like aliens or Bigfoot attacking people or something like that, some weird phenomenon of like an interdimensional portal or gate, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
But
See, that's why I was trying to like. I have no idea what could even like feasibly explain that would, you know what I mean? But yeah, go ahead.
well, like I mean, I've spent a lot of time in the woods and not just like the woods, like the backwoods. I've spent a lot of time backpacking and out in the deep remote wilderness, and I love it so much. It's like a happy place for me, but also there's something so different out there. Like I don't know how to explain it, but it's just this like primal sense that it's different for me. And I don't know what it is. If I just feel like more connected to, like, this is gonna sound like kind of hippie, but I feel like very connected to like the universe when I'm out there, like with
No, no,
no
yeah,
technology.
yeah,
But
totally.
it also comes with this kind of like eerie feeling too when I'm out there. Like I always feel like something's gonna happen, or that like I'm being watched, or that something like I don't quite know how to like put my finger on what it is, but it's just this
Mhm.
different feeling when I'm like in the woods, especially the deep woods. And I
Interesting.
I don't know what it is. I don't know if you get that too, but it's
Um, I I don't spend too much time in the woods. I I do enjoy it though. I just need to do it more often. The only thing I will say is about that is that sometimes I kind of forget that we live this is going to sound so stupid. I forget that we live on Earth. Like obviously I know that, but like what I mean is that we live in like I live like in a suburb area and there's like city like connected cities throughout like most of my travels. Anywhere that I'm going, there's always buildings and stuff. And then sometimes I forget that like we are a city on a world on this earth that there's so much that's not like established civilization. And so it's funny like to get that reminder that like oh yeah there could be like mountain lions close by me. Like you've been to my house, right? There's just those hills behind me, and like things live out there. I'm like, oh yeah, like the, I spend most of my time in the civilized world, but much of the world is not and is this wilderness area. But to have that feeling of like eeriness, probably not because I haven't been like in deep woods, but I do get that feeling of like when I am out in nature, like that connection, like the positive feeling. It really is like it is something special. I should do it
Mhm.
more often.
When I say that too, like it's mostly a positive experience for me too, but I don't know, I just feel like there's some like I want to say like secrets. That sounds weird, but like there's the
Oh,
old
okay, yeah.
saying there's this old saying about the Uinta Mountains in Utah. This like super for those of you not from Utah or familiar with the Uintas, it's where the highest peak in Utah is. It's like really high alpine, very rugged mountain range on the like the northeastern part of Utah where it lines Wyoming. And that's where I've spent like a lot of my time is up there, and it's really remote. It's like you have there's a bunch of lakes up there that are right off the main like the highway that goes through the Uintas, but like I've backpacked all through there and camped in a lot of different places, and there's just like every time I go up there there's just kind of this different feeling about it. And my grandpa used it when I was a kid. He would always say, he said, I don't know where he got this saying from. He told me it was this old saying about the Uintas of like the Uinta Mountains guard their secrets closely, and that there's a lot of like
Oh,
interesting things about the Uinta Mountains specifically. And I think that's where I feel it the most is up there. But that's where the legend
okay.
of like the or the Uinta Triangle comes from. So similar to like the Bermuda Triangle up there, there's this area where a bunch of people have gone missing without a trace. And there's a lot of like Native American history up there, a lot of like mining history. The Spaniards were mining up there in the 1800s and 1700s. There was a lot of mining up there. And so there's a lot of history, a lot of death, a lot of like just interesting stuff that went on up there. And I feel like there's something up there. I don't know what it is. And it's not always bad. Like I've had the best experiences up there, but there's just something different about it. So
Huh.
leading into that, this next case is from the Uintas. So this is a case that I remember when this happened. I was 10 years old when this happened. So this was right before I grew up all camping and stuff, but this was right before I went into Boy Scouts. And so in the year 2004, this is August 20th of 2004, there was a kid named Garrett Bardsley who at that time was 12 years old, and he was a Boy Scout. His family was from Elk Ridge, Utah, and that's kind of down by Spanish Fork, Provo area. And so kind of central Utah. And their scout troop that week was going on a trip. They were going up for 3 days to the Uintas, and they went to a place called Kuberant Lake, which is, if you remember where we went backpacking at Long Lake, um,
Mhm.
it's just north of there by like maybe a mile or two. So
Okay, yeah.
you have to take a different trail to go in there, but it's actually pretty close to there. And so it's really high up. And so they go up, there's 18 scouts and 6 leaders that go up. And so they've got a big group and they hike in and they hike in Thursday. They're going to stay Friday and go home Saturday. And so Garrett, the Friday morning, he and his dad wake up early and they go down to the lake to go fishing. His dad's name is Kevin Bardsley. And so they go down to the lake to go fishing, and their campsite from the lake to their campsite was somewhere between about 100 to 150 yards. So it's like a 1 minute walk to get down there.
Yeah, not too far, yeah.
But the Uintas are pretty, like some areas are very, very thick and dense, and it can be hard to even like see through the trees very far. And so Kuberant Lake, if you pull up, I'll post a picture of it in the chat and on the show notes, but it's it's up there. It's really pretty. Um, it's right below, if you remember at Long Lake, there's Mount Baldy. So it's kind of below Mount Baldy on the other side of it. And it's really pretty, but the trees are like incredibly thick. And so from the lake, they couldn't see the campsite, but you could hear people at the campsite. Like you could yell at somebody from the lake and they'd hear you and they could yell back or whatever. And it's about a 1 to 2 minute walk between. And so they're at the lake fishing at about 8 a.m. and Garrett, he accidentally steps into the lake and this is in August and the water up there is freezing cold even in the summer, like it's all glacier runoff. And so the water is like super chilly. Like I've swam in it in July and it's like it just saps your body. It's so cold. So
Just, like,
he
shocks you, like, that
yeah,
cold.
yeah, it just like makes your whole body like tense up.
Mhm.
And so he steps in the water, just gets his boots and like his pants wet a little bit. So then he decides that he's going to go back up to the campsite and change. So he tells his dad, and his dad's like, "All right, yeah, you run up and like I'll see you in a little bit." So he watches his son walk up and he's kind of just watching him as a dad would, and he watches him kind of get to the tree line, but then something catches his eye out on the lake. So he turns away for a second. And when he looks back, he's already in the tree line and gone. So he doesn't think anything about it. But then
Sorry, real quick, how old is he again?
he's 12.
12, okay, sorry, keep going.
So then about 15 to 20 minutes go by and his dad doesn't hear from him again. He doesn't come down to the lake. So he's like, I better just go up and check on him. And so he starts walking up back to the campsite and he gets to the camp and he asks everybody else, like, hey, have you guys seen Garrett? And they are like, no, he hasn't been here. We haven't seen him at all. So then he starts panicking and they start crying out for him and looking for him. Everybody, so they've got 24 people, including the leaders, all looking for him. And so they all start fanning out and looking for him. And after about 3 hours, they can't find him. So that's when they somehow get a hold of the Summit County Sheriff's Department, and they send some people up to come and start doing a search as well. And so all that day, all Friday, they start searching and they can't find him. So that night they camp there and they keep looking. And on Saturday, they find a lone sock in a field, this boulder field that's probably like maybe a mile away.
Hmm,
Not too far away, but they find this Nike ankle sock, and his dad said that that would match what Garrett's socks were.
mhm.
And but they can't say that it's his definitively. But it's kind of crumpled up and it's damp in the middle of this giant boulder field. So they're like, "What the heck?"
Oh, it's
They can't.
damp, okay, yeah, because he stepped in the
So
water.
yeah. Well, this is the next day that they find it. So I'm in August. The temperatures there at night get down to freezing. It gets really cold at night there. And so it could have like frosted over, and
Mm.
that's why the sock was damp too.
Oh, true.
Um, but that never really amounted to anything because they kept searching. They brought in hundreds of volunteers. I think on one occasion they even had over 1,000 volunteers come up and search.
Oh, wow, that's a ton
And
of people.
yep, so they had a lot of people coming up. and they were posting it on the news. They had like the FLIR cameras on choppers going over like infrared stuff to try and find him. They had rescue teams, like professional search and rescue. They had dogs. They had a bunch of people, and they searched about 36 square miles over a few days and didn't find anything. They didn't find any footprints other than the sock, like nothing, no personal items, nothing was ever found of him. And so pretty soon after he disappeared, the weather started to turn. So
Oh,
it
there.
started to
Okay.
rain and like hail, and then a little like it would snow at nighttime because the temperatures were below freezing. And so they're like, man, if he's stuck out there, because when he left, he was just in pants and a t-shirt. Because it's in August, so during the day in August it gets up into the probably the 70s in the Uintas. On a good day, probably 60s to 70s, but then in the nighttime, it's freezing cold, and so they're like,
Yeah.
"He's not gonna last out here. We have to
Oh
find him, or else
no.
he's not gonna last." So they search for him for a few days, and then after I think like 2 to 3 days, they call it a recovery effort at that point, and they're like, "There's no way he's survived the cold and the elements, so we're just doing body recovery now." And they never found him, and it's just so strange because like that trail that he was on, there's there's no way he could have gotten very far in the 15 minutes that his dad hadn't seen him because the forest is so thick and rugged. Like, there aren't a ton of trails that go off that trail, you know? It's like
Yeah.
he could have bushwhacked it, but they probably would have found signs like footprints. They probably would have found torn clothing or something. But then also, like, they were all shouting and screaming for him. He probably would have heard them too. And
Ah.
so it's it's just like what happened to him? It doesn't make any sense. His dad like multiple times was just kept saying like I can't believe that we didn't find him because he should have been right there. There's no way that he could have gotten that far. And
Um.
then
Sorry. Go
go ahead.
ahead.
No, keep go ahead.
Um. I'm just curious, like where they were camped out. Was it like a well-known campground, or was it like a were there other campers like somewhat nearby? I'm just kind of trying to get an idea of this, like the setting.
I don't think they were in an established campground. I think they were just like backcountry camping.
Okay, yeah.
And I don't know if anybody else was at the lake or not. I wasn't able to find that out. I know that they had to hike in a little bit to camp there. Um, but I don't know if anybody else was there or not. I would imagine so because it is like a not a super heavily trafficked lake, but I mean, you probably see a few people there.
Yeah, I guess if I think about the times that we went to Long Lake, that we would see people like on horses and other people around. Like they weren't like in our immediate vicinity, but like if you screamed loud enough, I'm sure you could have definitely heard people like in the general area. So
Hmm.
dang, that is crazy.
So I went to Long Lake last year for a week. My friend and I camped there, and then we hiked to different lakes like every day, and just for like day hikes and stuff. And while we were there, we camped in the same like close to where we used to camp growing up on that back
Hmm.
side of the lake, and
Yeah.
there were two other groups that were there like half the time that we were there, but they were kind of far away from us. And then we'd see people pass through during the day, like
Hmm.
maybe a couple groups a day. But other than that, there weren't a lot of people. So, and that was in July, like in the high traffic time, like peak camping time up there. So I'd imagine there were some people, but yeah, they searched almost 40 square miles and never found him. And so there's a bunch of theories that go into it. He could have slipped into some kind of crevice or maybe like an old mine shaft or something because there's a lot of mining that went on in the Uintas back in the day. So maybe an old mine shaft collapsed or something and he fell in. I personally don't believe the animal attack theory because there are a lot of bears and mountain lions in the Uintas that
Yeah.
could have grabbed him. But on the one hand, those attacks typically leave a lot of physical evidence, blood, skin,
Yeah.
like signs of a struggle.
Clothing. Yeah.
You'd
Something.
hear him like freaking out, you know. but there was none of that. No, not even footprints. They couldn't track any footprints for him. And so I don't necessarily believe that theory. I don't know what I believe because they couldn't track him at all, other than that one sock, but they can't even prove that was his. And so it's like
Oh
he
my
could have fallen
gosh.
into a crevice. He could have like it is really easy to get turned around in the Uintas because the trees can be very thick in some areas that it can be hard to see landmarks and stuff. And I do know that he was really scared of bears because the year before he had actually seen a bear at a scout camp, like been pretty
Oh,
close.
wow.
And so he had gone and told his scout leader, like, hey, there's a bear here. And his scout leader didn't believe him at first, but then like they found the bear. So he was very scared of bears. And so I could maybe see like if he saw a bear and then he just books it in the other direction or something. But you'd think he'd book it back to the camp. Like if because he's already on his way there, he's
Yeah.
close to it, you know?
Or it's, like, back to
And
his dad, right?
right, right. So I don't know. And then there's the weirder theories of did he get abducted or did he walk through some kind of portal or like wormhole in the
In
area that
space-time
transported him. Yeah,
continuum.
transported him to
Ugh.
another dimension or something like that. And I don't know, but granted, it was really sad. Like I remember when this happened, and then I went into scouts right after that, and that's when the buddy system became a big thing because he went
Oh,
missing
this is
in
okay, yeah, you mentioned that, yeah.
I mean, he went missing in a like a 1 to 2 minute walking distance
That's
where
so
he was, like,
close.
mostly
That's
visible
so
that whole time,
close.
and
Yeah.
so, it's just a lot of these cases happen in such a short amount of time, like, a lot of these cases with kids specifically, it'll be like the parents turn their heads for 5 to 10 seconds, and then their kid is gone, gone, gone with no trace, and so, to me, that's like that's I couldn't run away completely in 5 seconds, I couldn't somebody couldn't take me in 5 seconds and run away. It's it I like, I want to entertain the theory that it's something like an alien abduction or an interdimensional portal or something like that because of, like, the 0 trace, no footprints,
Yeah.
and the quickness of it. But I
It's
don't know.
it's easier to refer to that because it's, like, it borders on the impossible. So oh, yeah. Like, so quickly, and then they're just gone, like, oh my gosh.
Mhm. So, the cool thing about this, though, is his dad and mom, so Kevin and I think oh, what's his mom's name? I don't remember. Heidi, Kevin and Heidi Bardsley. They started a foundation that helps look for missing people. And the very next year after their son went missing, they helped find another kid, like really close to the same area, that was missing for like 25 hours.
Oh, wow.
Their foundation like helped organize a search party and they found this kid. And so they
Oh,
were able to be part of helping somebody else get found. And they've helped with a lot of other searches and stuff to provide resources for the people that are searching. And then they also have, with their foundation, have provided schools in impoverished countries and communities because Garrett, their son, he loved school and he loved learning. And so
mhm.
part of like honoring him was they started that foundation to provide education for people in impoverished areas, which I thought was really cool. But they're still trying to give back, and it's been 21 years since he went missing.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, he would be,
But
like, our age, basically, right?
yeah, he was 2 years older than me, so
Oh my gosh. I mean, at the very least, his family, they've taken a negative experience and done something great with it, but obviously super sad for them. I would be devastated, and I can't imagine, like, the guilt that the father probably feels,
oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure he's just, like, kicking himself, like, how could you know? Like, such an impossible set of circumstances, and, oh, that's
Yeah,
awful.
there's no way to know, but it really makes me think now when I go into the woods, like, I have to keep my head on a swivel even more so with my kids, and
Oh, yeah.
just they could disappear so fast, especially young kids that don't know how to navigate yet. They could take one little turn and just be gone, and you don't even see them. Like,
Yeah.
they're just gone.
Oh, man. Okay. Are we ready to move on?
Yeah, let's move on.
Okay. So my next one is about Cletus Reeves. He was also 2 years old. He disappeared on August 27th, 1954. So he disappeared at a family home in the sparsely populated rural, I hate saying that word, rural area of Strunk, Kentucky. That's a mouthful, Strunk. So he disappeared while playing with his 4-year-old sister Brenda outside their home. His mother just went outside, and here's the common theme here. His mother had just gone outside for a few minutes to fetch his diaper and returned to find him gone. So the search effort included hundreds of volunteers, police, tracking dogs. The difficult, rugged terrain of the Appalachian foothills complicated the operation. Luckily, they were able to find him. So he was found 4 days after his disappearance on August 34th, 1954. He was discovered on a creek bank. Do you want to guess how many miles away from his home he was?
28.
What did you say?
28.
Oh, dang. I thought you were going to shoot low. That was high. He was found 12 miles from his home.
Oh,
So he's 2 years old,
dang.
found 12 miles away from his home 4 days after his disappearance.
Where was
So
this at again?
this was in Kentucky in the Appalachian foothills. Yeah.
Okay.
So he traveled 12 miles through the wilderness. It includes dense undergrowth, hilly terrain, and people are like, how is this even physically possible? How is it possible for a toddler to cover that distance? He would have had to have traveled 3 miles a day, unaided, across ground that would challenge an adult hiker. Like an adult hiker would have a hard time covering 3 miles a day in this rugged terrain. So
That's
one piece of it, the searchers they had tracking dogs, but they couldn't find like a continuous trail or track linking like where he disappeared from and where he was found. And this is another common theme in these 411 cases was that the finding location was described as being in an area that had supposedly been previously searched. I think I've seen that phrase like multiple times in these cases, and I think that Paulides highlights that like searchers swear that they've been there before. So despite being missing for 4 days without food or water and being subjected to the elements, he was found conscious and coherent enough to recognize the searchers. So he was dehydrated, scratched, and scared, but he was surprisingly like good, which is 4 days. I don't know. It's in August, so I guess it's hot in Kentucky. So maybe it's not like cold or anything, but still 4 days.
yeah,
Um,
that's crazy.
Another part of it, like many children recovered in the 411 cases, he was found without his shoes. But I don't know. To me, like him not having his shoes, he's 2 years old. I'm sure 2-year olds, yeah, they lose their shoes all the time. If it's anything like I know my daughter's like a month old, but she kicks off her socks like nobody's business. So I imagine a 2-year old, especially if he had walked 12 miles, he was bound to lose his shoes um, at some point. But the case was officially closed. He was found. The prevailing theory was that he just wandered off and got lost, but the the lack of a continuous trail, the missing shoes, and like the distance that he covered makes it like super weird. Like, how in the world could he be found alive so many days later? 4 days later, 2-year-old traveling 12 miles. Like, that's so weird.
Yeah, that is.
And again, I don't, I don't know what logical explanation someone can come up with. Like, did some stranger like pick him up as he's wandering around and just like dump him off and be like, "Hey, here you go." Like, is he hitchhiking? Like, it's just so weird, right? Like, what is happening? But
Interdimensional portals, man.
yeah, that's the. I
That's the
mean,
most likely option right now.
I know. I just because like those are facts, right? Like the start and end point, 12 miles, 4 days, 2-year-old.
Mhm.
What's a conceivable explanation? Like, what are the possibilities? It means someone would have had to have picked him up and taken him there. But the
Right.
fact that, like, I don't know. Let's see, what was the year 1954? So it's not like they have the technology that we have today. But I don't know. I like to believe back in the day that people were good hearted and be like, oh my gosh, I see this 2-year-old walking around. He looks pretty rough. Maybe I should go back into town and see if I could help him out. But it does say the family home was in a sparsely populated rural area. So, but even then, like, I don't know. I'm just at a loss of any feasible explanation.
Same. Yeah, I don't know, cuz I mean, my 2-year-old can walk, but he's really slow. I don't know how he'd walk 12 miles without getting ran over by a car or
Yeah.
like falling in a ditch or something, and he'd be screaming for a snack in about 5 minutes too, so
The other
it
thing
doesn't make
too,
sense.
the other thing too is like 12 miles is pretty big, but that would mean that like from is that like a I don't know this. Maybe I should look this up. Is that like from point A to point B? Like you just drew a straight line, like as the
As the
crow
bird
flies.
flies.
Like is that 12 miles? Um, because it could be more, right? Like if it's a windy path to get from point A to point B, it would have been more. But that doesn't help explain explain the really weird circumstance. So that's just such a great distance to cover. So I don't know.
Yeah, that is strange.
But yeah, that's all I got for Cletus here. Thank goodness, that he was found alive and stuff. But I mean, that is just a really weird one.
Should we continue on to another one that's
Yeah,
also very weird?
yeah,
So
go
this
for it.
is the disappearance of Stephen Kubacki.
Oh man.
Keep wanting to say Kubiak, but he's the coach for the Denver Broncos, and so I gotta get that out of my head. Stephen Kubacki. So Stephen Kubacki was this happened in 1978, and at that time he was a college student at Hope College in Holland, Michigan. Um, and he was a pretty outdoorsy guy. He was also described as the typical Dungeons and Dragons nerd. If you look at a picture of him, he kind of looks like a stereotypical nerd with big glasses and stuff. But he was a pretty outdoors guy and loved to go cross country skiing. That was his big thing in the winter. And up in Michigan, they get a lot of snow. So he was an avid cross country skier. And his disappearance took place in February of 1978. So he was a student at the time and he was doing really well. He was studying history with an emphasis in German. And so he had even gone and studied abroad in Freiburg at a university over there and had a girlfriend that he was kind of in a relationship with too. And he had a lot going on for him. He had a job lined up with a local newspaper. He also was in line to inherit his father's house. His dad was going to give him his like family home. And so he had all these different things lined up for him and he was about to graduate too. And so one day on this day in February, in the middle of the winter, he decides to go on this little cross country skiing trip down toward Lake Michigan from his apartment, which is about a 6 mile trip. And he loved to go down to Lake Michigan and kind of hang out on the ice, but the ice on Lake Michigan is very different. It's not flat. Like the way that the water freezes there, the waves on the lake can cause these like 30 to 40 foot massive ice walls to form. And so
Oh,
the
really?
ice, yeah, like if you look up Lake Michigan ice, it looks pretty crazy.
Oh, that's
And
cool.
it can be dangerous. Like there can be different crevices and cracks in the ice that maybe you can't see. But it's like pretty treacherous. It's not something that you would typically ski on, but he wanted to go down and just kind of walk on the ice and check it out. So he skis down there and he's got a backpack, he's got his skis, and then all of his gear. So then, I believe it was the next day, his skis, ski poles, and his backpack were found stored at the edge of the lake in the snow by the shoreline. And it was some snowmobilers that had driven by and found him. And at this time, his roommates like noticed that he was missing. His friends and roommates did, but they didn't really think much of it at the time until 2 days later. They're like, okay, yeah, he hasn't been back for 2 days. We better kind of call it in. And by this time, these skis and backpack were found. And so they're like, something must have happened to him. So they call it into the police. But at this time, there was no missing persons law that required the police to actually search for him. So now there's a law called Brandon's Law that
Hmm.
the police are basically required to help in missing persons cases as soon as the person goes missing, regardless of age, like regardless of uh, circumstance. I think there are some circumstances that they can kind of say like, okay, yeah, we're not going to investigate right now. But at this time, they weren't legally obligated to help find him. They're kind of like, well, he's a young guy in his he's 23 at the time. Like he's a young guy, he's an adventurer. We'll just wait for him to come back. And
Oh, really?
so eventually they did start investigating it after more time had passed, and they did find a trail of footprints that led out across the ice, but then it just ended in like the his footprints in the snow just suddenly ended. And there was no sign of him turning around, going a different direction. His footprints just stopped out in the middle of the lake. And so the assumption
That's
was that
weird.
yeah, so his gear is left behind, he walks out and his footprints end. So the assumption was that he fell through the ice or into some kind of crevice in the ice because the ice was pretty weird and treacherous, not just normal flat ice, and that he either fell all the way into this crevice, which there's probably no way to get him out if he falls all the way down, or he fell into the lake somehow and then drowned in the lake. And but they didn't find any like hole of him falling into the lake. So there was the theory of, well, maybe he broke a hole in the ice and he fell through and then it like refroze or something. And so there's
Okay,
no
yeah.
way to see his body because the ice is completely frozen over.
Oh, man.
So those are the theories. But then about 15 months later, in the spring of 1979, he suddenly turns up. He turns up in Massachusetts, which is about, I believe, 700 miles away. And he was hitchhiking, and a motorist picked him up and took him to he was near this payphone, and he had a sign that, like a hitchhiking sign. And so when he reappeared, he went to his aunt, and he's like, we better call my dad. Let's call my dad and tell him where I am.
What
And
the
so
heck?
he didn't have any recollection of what had happened to him during the 15 months, but he reportedly, when he woke up in this field wearing clothes that he wasn't wearing when he disappeared. He had on this like California marathon shirt. Or was it California? I don't remember where the marathon was from, but he had on this marathon shirt and he felt like he had just ran a great distance, but he didn't remember running a marathon. Like his body was kind of sore and he felt tired. Um, and he had this sign, like a hitchhiking sign. And he didn't have his like old clothes or backpack. He had all these maps, like California maps in this satchel that he had, but he didn't recognize the satchel. And so he's thinking this is kind of weird. And he didn't immediately realize how much time had passed until he picked up a newspaper and saw the date. And then he realized that like 15 months had gone by. So what was
What?
weird about this disappearance is he didn't try to find out at all, like, what happened to him. He was just kinda like, "I'm gonna move on and just kinda forget that part of my life. Like, it happened, it's done,
What?
I don't really wanna dig into it." And so he declined doing interviews, he didn't give a lot of public detail about him, but his family thought his family didn't really think he was dead because they're like, "He wouldn't be he's not a stupid guy, like, he's smart when he does, like, his adventurous stuff." So, the family didn't really think he was dead, but after a while, they just kinda had to like, come to terms that he was gone, whether that meant he was dead or he just disappeared, that he was gone. So for them, it was a huge deal. And when he came back, he was like, "Why is everybody making such a big deal? Like, I haven't been gone that long." He didn't really realize, like, "Oh, I've been gone." Like, he didn't realize the impact that it had on like his family and friends. And so those are the key points of the case. It's just weird how he had these different clothes and stuff. It's weird that he doesn't remember. But then also they tracked down that he had gone back and forth to California and then all the way back to like Massachusetts. So he had traveled the country back and forth at least 2 times, like out to California
Whoa.
and back. And there was no way to track like his financial records. This is in the 70s, so I don't know. I don't think they had credit cards back then. So I don't know how they would track financial stuff, but they couldn't really track any of his spending, or they didn't know what money he was using to get around. They knew he was hitchhiking, but it's like, how did he survive and get across the country twice in a 15-month period with no job, no money,
Yeah.
no car, and he has no recollection of it. And so it's just weird. And then he gets back and he doesn't want anything to do with finding out what happened to him.
Yeah, that's pretty odd. I feel like if that happened to me, I'd be like, "What the freak just happened?" That's really weird.
I think initially I'd want to find out because I'd be like,
Yeah.
where's my life? Like, what happened to my life? Like, did I do any weird stuff? Like, what
Yeah.
happened? And then maybe I'd be like freaked out to find out what happened because maybe it was more supernatural or nefarious than it might be initially thought. But I think it's weird that he didn't really try to find out what happened. Now,
Yeah, what were the theories about it?
so a lot of the theories are that when he was skiing, I don't know what the condition is called. I think it has something to do with hypothermia maybe, or something that people often get
Like mountain
when,
fever or something?
yeah, something like that, but that can cause memory loss.
Oh,
And
okay.
so it could be theorized that he went into some state of memory loss and just lived his life for 15 months, but then just like had a sudden episode of coming out of that and he didn't remember it. The other thought is maybe he crashed and got a concussion when he was skiing and that caused the memory loss. Um, but they couldn't verify that. And I mean, just the tracks on the middle of the lake that just ended were so strange. So then
Yeah.
there's the thought of, was he abducted? Did he pass through some kind of portal or wormhole and then end up somewhere else? And like, how did nobody, because this was on the news, like nationwide, they had put up news of him being missing, had posted his picture on the news
Yeah,
and
I was
everything.
thinking that
And
too, like, if he had been elsewhere, I don't know, maybe it wasn't as prevalent, but you think that's being gone that long and all the different places that he'd been, maybe someone would have recognized him, but maybe not.
yeah, well, then that poses the thing of like, did he use a different name that whole time, or was he going by his original name, Stephen Kubacki? Because at that point, I would assume somebody recognized him in the traveling back and forth twice across the country. He probably would have come across somebody that recognized him,
Yeah.
but he never did. And so then one of the theories is that he disappeared on purpose and
Oh, really?
he wanted to dip. So he staged this all and then he wanted to just dip and go live for a while, whether it was a way to get away from his German girlfriend and kind of get her out of the picture, or whether
Hmm.
he was at this point where he was coming into a lot of life change. Like his girlfriend, they were trying to get married. He was graduating. He was getting a new career. He was inheriting a house. So he
Yeah,
had
that's a lot.
all this stuff going on. And so maybe he was nervous and scared about that. And he just wanted to dip and go like sow his wild oats for a year and a few months.
So
And
his wild oats, I can't say that I've heard that.
no,
No.
um, But that's another theory, is that he just dipped on purpose, and then that would kind of explain why when he got back, he didn't really wanna talk about it or find out what
Or find
happened
out,
because,
yeah, because
like, he
he's like, "I know what happened, I'm just not telling
yeah,
you."
right. Or maybe he had some kinda psychological break that caused him to do that, and maybe he had, like, a multiple personality disorder thing that he turned into somebody else for that time, you know? I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Have you seen Breaking Bad?
mhm.
Okay, do you remember when Walt, like, fakes that fugue state? Like,
Oh, yeah.
he's, like, in a gas station, like is he naked? I'm pretty sure he's naked, right? Or in his underwear at least, which I
Yeah,
feel like
he's in it,
he's in his
yeah.
underwear way too much in that show, but he's, like, naked, and he's, like, using that as a way to, like, explain I can't remember at what point that happens. Is that when the whole Tuco thing happens?
I
Anyway,
think so, it's been long enough since I've seen it, but yeah, I remember that, though. He's, like,
that
in the grocery
that's
store just butt, like,
yeah,
naked,
and
yeah.
he's just lying out his butt, right, to his
Mhm.
family about what happened, so that's what came to mind when, like, you say that theory, I'm like, "Oh, yeah, he's pulling a Walt, I guess," but
Yep. So
go
that's
on.
the technical term, is fugue state. Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
what they theorize happened to him. And then there's the different, aliens or supernatural abductions as well that go into it. Um, so what I think is weird is the tracks on the lake. So I think it's weird that his tracks end so abruptly on the lake and that there's no sign of him turning around. Because if he did it himself, how did he get off that lake? There's no saying how
Yeah,
he did, unless he
yeah,
had like a
without
chopper come pick him up or something.
yeah, it'd be wild. Stage your disappearance that way.
Hmm. So saying all this now, I have recently come to know about an interview that Stephen Kubacki did on a podcast.
Yeah, because he's
What's
still
the
alive, right?
Yeah. So this was in 78, so it's 50, almost 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And there's a podcast. Let me find the name of the podcast real quick. Um but it was recent within the last year. And I didn't listen to the whole thing because I thought it was a little bit weird. The Curious Jones podcast. So he does an interview on here, the first interview that he's done in 45 years, roughly, because he didn't come out publicly after this much at all to give any detail. But he talks about how he orchestrated the whole thing
Oh,
and
no
that
way,
he
he
had
actually
this,
did?
yeah, so that he had this quote
That
unquote group,
fetcher.
and he alludes to the group being like very mysterious, whether it's aliens or whether it's like the CIA. I can't tell because he's kind of like secretive about it in the interview. But he
Oh,
talks
okay.
about how he and this group, I don't remember the name of the organization that they made, but this was in the 70s. So they created this organization that was kind of like a rebellious organization, I guess.
Mhm.
And so he orchestrated this disappearance, and that it was for him that he was taken basically into this other dimension, and it was kind of like a surreal experience, and that he remembers most of what happened to him during those 15 months. So that's like as much of the detail as I have because I haven't listened to the whole interview because I did get the vibe that I was like, this guy kind of sounds like he's lying out of his butt. But also, I'll give him this in that most of the time when something like this happens, if it's a fake, people are generally trying to make money off of it, and he hasn't for 45 years. Like he hasn't made a movie about it. I think he does have a book now that he's written cuz he is a PhD. He's a very well-studied man. So after this happened, he did go on to finish his degree. He has multiple PhDs. Like he's really smart. He's a genuine like genius, man. And so I think he's a psychologist. But he is incredibly smart. So he is published like as a PhD, But as far as his experience goes, I think he's written one book very recently about it. But over those 45-ish years, he didn't make any money off of this or gain any like fame or advancement, from it. And so
Mhm.
that's one thing to me that would be like, okay, maybe there is some truth to this, but that podcast interview was a little, yeah, for me.
Yeah, I had actually looked at this case beforehand because I was like, looking into the 411 ones. And this is one of them that came up that was super interesting. And I had seen that he has this memoir. And I think the organization that you're referring to, is it the NRF, the Nexalistic Revolutionary Front? Does that ring a
Yes.
bell?
Yeah. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah. So I looked into this a little bit as well too. And I was like, are you kidding me? Like, this guy goes missing for this long, comes out, and like, we're supposed to be, there was like a long con. Like, that's a long con, to then so he could sell a book however many years later. I mean, that's some dedication right there. But yeah, reading over the NRF stuff, it's kind of weird. Like, I'll just hit on some quick points on it. They have a mission to liberate minds. Its central purpose is to liberate minds. And yeah, like, he claims his disappearance was a planned act, a conspiracy to disappear on the lake with the intent to launch global change. And the time he spent underground was allegedly used to organize a form of resistance to the power structures that existed. It all just sounds like a bunch of gobbledygook weird stuff that I can't even like like understand. But yeah, that's just weird. Like, he just seems like a weird dude. Um, all right. Let's move on to the last one. So I've got Dennis Martin here. So Dennis Martin, he was a 6-year-old boy from Knoxville, and he vanished on June 14th, 1969 at Spence Field. This is a high elevation meadow near the Appalachian Trail in the Great Smoky Mountains National Park in Tennessee. So it was Father's Day weekend. They're going on this camping trip. It's like this annual family tradition. He was with his dad, William, his older brother, Douglas, and his grandfather, Clyde. They had hiked from Cades Cove to Russell Field. They camped overnight, and then they continued on to Spence Field, where they met up with this other family. So he vanishes around 4:30 p.m. Um, Dennis, his brother, and two other boys decide to play a prank on on the adults. They're like, "Hey, if we're gonna sneak away, we're gonna hide, and then we're gonna jump out and scare the adults." So the dad, William, he watches as the boys, like, they're huddling and they're like, scattering to go hide. Dennis is wearing a bright red T-shirt. He's separated from everyone else, and he's trying to like hide, in the bush or thicket to surprise his dad. And so a few minutes later, all the kids come out, but Dennis doesn't, and they're like trying to find him. And William, he turns his head for just a few minutes. In that brief time, Dennis is gone. William, his dad, runs down the trail for about like 2 miles. He's calling and yelling frantically, and he can't find, his son. So, what's kind of sucky about the area that they're in Spencefield, it's a pretty remote and rugged spot. And that kind of meant there was no easy way to contact the park rangers. Apparently, Dennis's father, Clyde, had to hike approximately 5 hours to a ranger station to report the boy missing around 8:30 p.m. So they're kind of behind the eight ball here. They had the 5 hours of time they've kind of missed searching because they're getting, the rangers to get involved. So this turns out to be the largest search in the park history. It started early the next day on June 15th, 1969, and it grew into the largest search and rescue operation in the park's history. At its peak, there was an astonishing 1,400 people scouring a 56 square mile area.
Dang.
Yeah, lots of people. The searchers, there's a long list of searchers here, like different groups. The National Park Service Rangers, local rescue squads, Boy Scouts, students, Tennessee Highway Patrol, the Knoxville Fire Department. They got even 60 Green Berets from Fort Bragg. And these guys are, specialized in equipment like airborne infrared sensing devices. They had 9 Jeeps, multiple helicopters. So they've got like a lot of resources that they're throwing at this to, find this kid. The unfortunate circumstance, like in the other cases, and for this one, a heavy rainstorm ends up happening that night, and the next morning that drops like several inches of rain. So unfortunately, that washes away a lot of potential evidence, right? Like footprints or a scent for the search dogs. And the terrain is really dense, steep slopes, ravines. So everyone's searching. They've searched 13, it says, despite over 13,000 man hours spent searching, not a single definitive trace of Dennis Martin was ever found. No torn clothing, no footprints, no body. So they cut back the search on June 26th, which is about 11 days later. And then they abandoned the search on the 29th. And then they officially closed it on the 14th of the same year, 1969. So there's a couple key pieces to this. So on the afternoon of the disappearance, they have a tourist named Harold Key. So he and his family were hiking nearby, and it was roughly about 7 miles by trail from Spence Field where Dennis goes missing. And they say that they hear this enormous, sickening scream. And then shortly thereafter, they see this unkempt, shaggy looking man running up the trail. And Key, this guy, the tourist, his last name's Key, he claimed the man was carrying what looked like cloth or clothing over his shoulder. So kind of suspicious, right? Because I think it says even red cloth or clothing, and Dennis was wearing a red t-shirt. So the park rangers and the FBI investigated, but they just kind of said, yeah, there's not sufficient evidence to link the disappearance. And they said because of the significant distance, because it was 7 miles by trail. So that would have been a large distance to cover. So there were some footprints, some child-sized footprints were found in the area, and they led towards a stream where they ended up disappearing. But the park officials, they dismissed them because they thought that it had most likely been left by a Boy Scout that was, helping in the search. So kind of sad, right? Like they're thinking like, oh, we might have some evidence here or a clue, and come to find out it's one of the Boy Scouts that's kind of helping us out. 16 years later, there's this ginseng hunter. I didn't know that was a thing, but he was looking for ginseng, and he claimed to have discovered he had claimed he had discovered some scattered skeletal remains of a small child in this big hollow or Tremont area of the park, and he kept it to himself for years because he was fearing he was afraid that he was going to get prosecuted because apparently he was illegally hunting this ginseng. But when he finally reported it, he wasn't able to relocate the spot where he had found it, and nothing was ever found. So kind of sad, like a potential to find some kind of evidence, but then when he goes back there, he can't find it. The most probable theory, according to the park officials, was that Dennis became disoriented, he succumbed to exposure, or he fell into one of the many ravines or sinkholes in the terrain. And then the heavy rain that night would have been pretty fatal for him, so he most likely would have passed away in that rainstorm. Another kind of like your first case, I don't remember the name, the Bardsley one, right?
Yeah,
Um
Garrett Bardsley. Yep.
yeah, another theory is that it was a wild animal, but again, the wild animal attack, there would have been, like you said, a blood trail, torn clothing, something, you know.
Mhm.
Um Dennis's father, he believes, he's a proponent of the abduction theory, that and he's basing that off of what that one guy said, that he saw a shaggy looking man running up a trail with what looked like a red cloth or clothing over his shoulder. So I got a couple quotes here from the National Park Service ranger talking about, you know, the search and everything. He said, "The rain obliterated everything." This is from Robert McCarter. He's a former National Park Service ranger. Says the rain obliterated everything, I would say. It washed away a lot of clues and scent before the search even started. So yeah, the rain was a really big unfortunate occurrence, right? And
Weather,
then
man. I'm telling you.
yeah. And then he also says here, if you've got 1,400 people, they've stomped on everything. It just doesn't work. Every broken branch, footprint, and other clue has been trampled. You've
Mhm.
got search dog that can't sniff any clues.
I
So
didn't think about it that way.
yeah, um, very sad. They never found him. No trace. Nothing. The So kind of like, you said in the Bardsley one, like the family had a foundation and like they made something good come of it. Well, the good that came from this, um, apparently this case and them using all these resources and stuff ended up shifting how national parks and search and rescues are conducted. This case became a textbook example of what not to do.
Mm,
So they shift from what they call surround and drown to more a scientific approach. So before this case, a lot of search and rescue efforts were, you just throw as many resources and bodies at it and hope that you can find them.
yeah.
But the problem with that is you got all these people uncoordinated and possibly destroying, evidence, you know, covering up footprints, snap twigs,
Yeah.
and it makes it hard for dogs to find a scent, trackers to like gain any kind of trail. And so like a new philosophy has been adopted, quality over quantity. So they're trying to preserve like the search area and to like treat it probably more like a crime scene, right? Where you don't want to touch anything. Um so yeah, some good things did come from it, and they've been more successful in search and rescue efforts because of this, but obviously you don't want to be the reason why people change, right? You don't want your kid to be the reason why people get their act together and realize, oh yeah, this is not very smart for us to have all these different agencies that are uncoordinated working together. Like it's great, and I get like you want as many people as you can to help, but it needs to be a smart, calculated approach. So
Right. Dang. How old is he again? 6?
yeah, 6 years old, just
What's up with all the
disappeared.
kids, dude? There's so many of these cases that are like little kids. It makes me
Yeah.
sad.
Yeah, the whole thing is just really sad. I mean, I feel like we hit on another sad topic because these are like real
I
people that
know.
disappeared and have no answers. Like I just like their families. I just feel so bad for their families and friends and people that knew them. Like that would just be devastating.
Yeah.
And I
Can't
just
imagine as a parent too
yeah,
having to go through that with a child.
yeah, it's pretty awful. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I got for Dennis Martin. I hope that someday, like families get some answers to what happened to their children, family, and loved ones. But it's just so awful. Just no trace, no nothing, and just throw so much resources and just nothing. Like how? Ugh. I
So,
sometimes I believe like we live in this world where like we have phones everywhere, and I know this happened a while ago, but like I feel like the world is like mostly discovered, but it really isn't, you know. And there are
mhm.
places where people can just vanish. It's just crazy to think that.
I think it's also so ignorant of humans to bypass any like out there ideas and just be like, "Yep, that could never happen that way," because like you said, there's so much about the world that we don't know. And
Yeah,
who knows what's actually making all this happen, because the stuff I could believe a lot of these theories if there was some kind of trace. But the
yeah,
fact that most of these have zero trace of disappearance, nothing, not even a shred of any kind of evidence, that leads me to believe that maybe there's something else going on.
yeah. And I don't even know again like what that other thing could be. Interdimensional portals or whatever it is. It's just so strange, man. I don't know. I have no answers.
Same, same. Well, regardless, it's a fascinating topic and albeit a sad one. But that was fun. Thanks for going over this topic with me today. And you listeners, thanks for sticking with us.
Thanks, guys. Yeah, I mean, we'll probably end up doing more of these in the future. I mean, if people like really don't like this, then like let us know. But there's a lot of other cases that we could go over. There's some even stranger ones, I think. I know that
Hmm.
you've mentioned a couple to me, and there's a couple that I didn't do, but I figure we could probably do this every now and then, pick up some of these cases because they are very interesting, very sad, but it's a interesting topic for sure.
Yeah, maybe we'll make it a segment. And I mean, they are interesting, albeit sad, but it is intriguing to. I hope that someday David Paulides does get to the bottom of what's going on because he's still actively researching it and putting out new material. I think his last documentary was put out in 2022, so it's been a while, but he is working on more right now as well. So I'm hoping that he brings out some more, like sheds more light on the subject, because it seems like today somebody goes missing and then within a couple days like there's something else on the news that they're covering that's taking precedence over that, and then that person just kind of goes by the wayside, not to the people that are close to them, but like the public isn't seeing every missing person case that's out there. And that's what's sad to me is there's so many of these cases that we don't even know the vast majority of these people that have gone missing. So hopefully he
Yeah.
can shed some more light on it and maybe tie up some loose ends and figure out a little bit more about what's going on. But go check out his content. He's really good. He's been on a lot of podcasts and done a lot of interviews too. So apart from his books and movies, there's a lot of his own content floating around out there of just him like talking to people too. So go check it out.
All right.
Cool. Well, thanks. That was a good one. And let us know what you guys want to hear on future episodes. And we love you guys. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, I love you guys. Thanks.